Welcome to my podcast. My name is Erin Pitnero, and technically I'm your host, but this space belongs to you. We get real and raw over here. Like, why do we have to adult? Why does it feel so good to curse? The meaning behind sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the adventures behind raising tiny humans, what it's like to write a book, the therapy of working out, the journey behind losing and gaining our faith, and everything in between. These are real stories with real people who've inspired me and healed our world in so many unconventional ways. We all think different, experience different, and even love different. But the more we learn about each other, the more we can heal ourselves and the world around us. So whatever the reason that landed you here today, I hope you stick around. Get ready to laugh, to cry, and to be inspired, because this life's the pits.
Children home with us.
Yes, we do. I was like, please let him go to daycare today. And he just did not want to eat his bottle this morning and he's not sleeping. And I was like, there's no way he could go to daycare today.
Well, you also look amazing for not sleeping. So there's that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, lots of coffee and I think I'm used to it at this point.
Cheers, Mama. Cheers. I'm
Cheers.
gonna basically, I want to see the similarities, consistent themes across, like, because some of us are in the mental health space, some of us are in the coaching space, some of us are both, some of us are, they just like, other people that just own businesses or are, I have like a friend of mine who's a mama and she is a realtor and also does fitness stuff and like just right. So it's like different types of things, but I want to see like the secret sauce amongst all of the women that I know that are just, I mean, I think every woman is badass, right? But there's just a caliber of this like valor that's just like no matter what, we get back up and we fight. And like what is that consistent message, right? So yeah. So I have a bunch of questions. Well,
I love it.
But
I'm excited. Absolutely. Especially as business owners too. Like you talk to your partner and you talk to other friends who are just like working the 9 to 5 life, which nothing wrong with that. But there are going to be like certain pieces that just don't make sense to them.
Yeah. Who are you? And I mean, I can answer this, but I want to hear it from you. Who are you and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I am a social worker. I'm a licensed social worker in New York. And I was in the social work space, working the 9 to 5 life for about 20 years. And I transitioned into coaching and a little bit of corporate training and education and branching out now into foster parent coaching. So I kind of have my hands in a whole lot of pots, still doing the crisis response, still doing mental health therapy, probably too many things on my plate, but it's working today.
Yeah. My gosh, that's so beautiful. It's working today. Okay. I'm gonna quote that a little bit. Okay. Beautiful. So you run a business and you run your home and you are a foster mama.
Yeah.
And you are running all of these businesses that are like different various things. So you're leading at home and you're leading in the community. So to you, and it's funny, every single person I've asked this to, they're like, shit. And I'm like, I know, I didn't prepare you. And that but what is a leader to you? What does it mean to be a leader? See?
I lead by example. Like in my home, I try to do the thing. So my partner doesn't always have to ask what comes next or what can I do to help. So I really try to lead by example. And to me, a leader is somebody who's actually out there doing it and being that person for a lot of people, but also getting it back in return because we can't keep giving and giving. And so for me, like teaching other people to be leaders and to help me as well.
Yeah, like knowing your strengths and
Yeah. So that I don't have to do everything by myself.
okay. So a teacher and knowing how to delegate. Beautiful. What would you say the season of motherhood you are in? Which I know this is probably a tricky one for you because
Yeah. Yeah. And if you asked me, because we're foster parents, if you would have asked me last year, it would have been a totally different answer. So actually, we just found out this morning that there was a termination of parental rights filed for our little guys, our twins. So they are going to be up for adoption soon.
oh gosh, I'm gonna
So
cry.
my season of parenting right now is like cautious, but excited and also up every night and doing all of the feedings and struggling with ear infections and going to a lot of doctor's appointments. And when people ask me, how are things? I always tell people that everyone's busy. And so I try not to say, oh, things are so busy because everyone's busy. So what I like to say is things are wild. Like things are just wild and we go with the flow and we make it work. And that's kind of the season of parenting that I'm in is just we go with the flow, we make it work, and we figure it out as we go.
Mhm. Yeah, you're in the young mama stage, right? Where like you
Yes.
have just young babies. You have
10
babies.
months old. Yep, two
Yep.
10-month-old babies.
Oh my gosh. That's so
I
crazy.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
And it's wild because you I think have a unique perspective as being a foster care mom is that and potentially adoptive mom, right? That you they're not biologically yours, but you are all in as if they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we're the ones doing the doctor's appointments. We're the ones going into school. We're the ones, up all night doing all of the feedings, introducing them to new foods. And so it is very much, in your heart, like these aren't my biological children, but they're my children. Like they're, I'm the one that took them home from the hospital and I'm the one that's cared for them since they were 4.5 little pounds. And, I'm there doing the day to day.
You're all they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're choosing each other, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
remarkable. Yeah. Amazing. It's amazing. I love it. Okay. So, last real question, but we can always just chat it up as well,
Yeah.
is what, so I don't necessarily believe that things are ever balanced. I
Oh,
always tell clients, like, when we're balanced, we're dead. We're just still, right? Like,
yeah.
that's the key for you to balancing it all. What would you,
Yeah.
your, and this might change different seasons of life, but for
Yeah.
you right now, what would you say is your consistent measure of like your life being able to balance things?
Yeah, for me it's the flexibility. Like I look at it, I agree with the balance. Like I look at it as like integration. Like my children are integrated into my life. Like you might hear them in the background right now. And so like I need the flexibility to be a mom, do all of the things that I'm doing and not have that guilt about like, oh, I had to call into work today because I have a sick baby at home and I feel bad about that because I am responsible for other, organizations or companies or whatever that looks like. And so for me, it's like I need to have the flexibility to be a mom and be good at what I do and somehow merge the two. And for me, that's so important. If I have to cancel appointments for the day because the baby's sick and needs to go to the doctor. Like, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to have that, oh, do I have enough time off? Or can it, so for me, it's about like, how does work get integrated into my family life? Because family life for me is the most important piece. And I'm always going to put that as a number one. And honestly, like before I started my own business, I think that I may have got passed over in a job because I said that. And I was very clear, my family comes first and staying late at night isn't going to work for me and working on weekends isn't going to work for me. And so if that is, what this position entails, like I'm not the right person for you. But for me it's all about like I chose to put my family first and all my decisions are based on that.
Beautiful. I love it. Balancing to you is integration. Love that. Yeah.
And for me too, like I've always been like a type A personality. Like I know exactly what I'm gonna do in the day, and that does not work with children. Like and I had to like let go of that control, which was so hard for me because I have to be like, okay, you know what? What I planned for today isn't going to happen. I'm not going to be as productive as I thought, and I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, letting go of control. Because I think it's interesting. I think one thing I'm finding is that we're all very, I don't want to call it type A necessarily. I am as well, but like we're all very regimented in these are the priorities that I have to get done.
Yeah.
And since I know what they are, if I'm thrown off, I already know what they are. So I can
Right.
slip them into my day. And then you're
Yep.
saying the flexibility, that integration
Yep.
throughout the day. Like these are the 5 things I have to get done. I can
Yeah.
figure out when they're going to get done.
Exactly. Exactly. And like if I have to do some at 8:30 tonight because that's when they go to bed, like I'm okay with that. You know, there was I networked with a woman who in her email signature it says you may be receiving this outside of your normal business hours, but for me my work-life balance looks a little bit different. And that stuck with me because I'm working it in the evening or I might be working on the weekends, but I'm okay with that because I might not have started until noon today. So, but I have that option.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was talking to my husband today because we're in such a transitional phase because my oldest just turned 12 and he's going into junior high school. So he's starting a whole new school in junior high, which is like, and it's the same junior high I went to. So it's like just mind-boggling, like full
Yeah.
circle. And my youngest is still in that sweet spot where he can be left alone for like a snip at a time, but like
Yeah.
not fully like home alone for
Right.
right? Like it's a very different because he's 8.
Yeah.
But so I was like, gosh, life would be so much easier if I just went back to a 9 to 5. Like there's a level of like I punch out at 5 and I go to all
Yep.
their things and it's done.
Yep. Yep.
But like I wouldn't be able to be home with them
I
today.
know. I
They
know.
walked in and we got up and I was able to make them breakfast and I had my coffee
Yep.
and chat with them and they were,
Yeah.
hey mom, what do we do? Go hang out. I got a couple calls. We'll clean your room so we can go shopping for new
Yep.
clothes in a couple
Yep.
days. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have the flexibility and the integration that you're
Yep.
speaking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
different. So I
I
think
know.
there's pros and cons to both.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. And I think sometimes the flexibility can like also be a detriment. Like, oh, I can put this off. Well, I've been putting off my newsletter for about 4 weeks now. So, I gotta get on that this week. But like it's definitely, there are some cons to being in charge of your own schedule because if you don't hold yourself accountable, who's going to?
Yes. Yes, I'm going to put that on here, holding yourself accountable.
I'm gonna go grab him because he's crying. Okay.
Yes.
What are you doing? Oh, hi, baby. Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
Beautiful. So also my kids are home today because there's no camp anymore. So, if they come barging into my office, just
I
ignore
love
them.
it. And just so you know, like I'm outside, I'm on my front porch because I have to be because I have kids home and Jesse home and dogs and things. And then I have like, whenever I do stuff like this, I swear they have like county workers that come from the sky. The Mercy flight will go by. Like, it's just like, so just, I'm sorry if there's periods where you can't hear me, just let me know and I'll say it again.
Yeah. Actually, Zoom's pretty good at drowning out the background. So hopefully
Oh, good.
hopefully we'll both be okay. So, um, tell me, from your words, I can describe who you are and what you do for a living, but what would you say who you are and what you do for a living?
So I'm Desire Cruz. I'm the co-owner of Merge Worldwide, and my whole passion and my whole purpose of being here is to impact the world in a positive way. I want to encourage as many people in the world, actually 1 billion is my goal. I've done thousands and thousands of people, but my goal is 1 billion to help them understand that one, we're here for a purpose. Two, we have to get really cool again about healing again. I I see a huge deficit and a need for people to really lean into certain pillars. And those 5 pillars are healing, empowerment, action steps, relationships, and transformation. I think when we really lean into these personal development pillars, we change in such significant ways that we're really able to live abundantly in all of our areas.
Love it. Beautiful. So to you, what does leadership mean, or what does being a leader mean for you?
Oh, I love it. Okay, so heart-centered leadership is the whole thing that I'm trying to move right now, which means that we are leaning into all of these areas, those 5 pillar areas that I was talking about. I think leadership means that I'm on a healing journey just as much as you are. I think that I need to be empowered in order to empower you. I think I need to be taking action in my life before I try to tell you to take action in yours. I need to be a model of what relationships are like and what healthy relationships are like, to tell people to have healthy relationships. And then I think that if I'm not transforming as a leader, I think that it's hard for me to tell you to transfer as well, or transform as well. So, yeah, these 5 pillars is what my heart-centered leadership is. And I think that we are in dire need of heart-centered leadership more than ever.
I agree with you on that one. So what I'm hearing is embodiment. Like, you really embody the things that you are helping other people lead themselves through. It's like,
Right.
I led myself through this. I'm going to show you the way, but you have to lead yourself through it too, which is, it's hard because I think as healers, as helpers, we want to do it for people. Always see, it's so funny. I've had colleagues of mine that are friends, like that I've worked in the same office for years and years and years prior to doing what I do now. And like in the last year, I've had people be like, okay, so tell me what you're doing. Cause they see me like growing and evolving from, you know, my one mentor is like, Erin, what you're doing is not social work. It's bigger than that. Like you are a social worker. That's what you've done for 15, 17 years. But what you're doing isn't social work. Like, you've got to take that hat off and figure out what it is that you're doing, because it's bigger than that. And I'm like, oh,
absolutely. Like, I believe, like, so I used to be a teacher, right?
wow.
So like I used to be a teacher, but being a teacher is so much bigger than me, right? So now I'm still teaching. It's just bigger than me teaching. So I agree with your friend.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when sometimes you just have to hear it differently from somebody that's like, because she sees me in a different light than I see myself, right? And so it's funny, I have some of my old colleagues reach out to me and be like, okay, tell me what you're doing. And I'm like, and then we get to talking. I'm like, I see you doing this thing, right? And then I'll be like, I see you doing this thing. And now they're like doing that thing. Like my one girlfriend, she really struggled like postpartum stuff. And so now she launched her own coaching and therapy practice, and she's coaching moms through postpartum. I'm like, this is what I saw you doing. My other girlfriend, her son, is autistic, and she's like, gosh, I'm like, I see you helping parents and families like through like the autistic lens as a parent. And now she's doing that. She launched her own coach, and I'm like, this is what like I see it, right? It's just so how we can like see that in other people. But we have to, if it weren't for me, and it's the same for you, if it weren't for me leading my way to doing what I'm meant to do, they wouldn't have seen that and been like, wait, I can do it too, right? So it's just such a domino butterfly effect. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's amazing. I love what you're doing, and I'm seeing all your stuff, and it's so cool.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, so next question. What would you say the season of motherhood that you're in? Because your kids are a little bit older now.
Yes. I don't.
I know.
Okay, so I have a senior now. She's going into her senior year, Erin.
All the last verse, right? All the last verse. It's crazy.
Yeah, I want to cry thinking about it. And then my other one is she's going to be a sophomore. So she's literally right behind her. So, but this is a really cool age for me though. Okay. So I loved every single season of being a mother. Like I loved all of it. And I was really, really intentional with all of it. So there wasn't any of it that I didn't like. But I want to say the season that I'm in right now is one, I'm reaping what I've sowed right now, because my baby's about to be a senior. So like I'm seeing her, like you said, like come out of the cocoon and become the butterfly, and she's now has her wings and she's becoming her own individual young lady. And it's been like, if I died tomorrow, I know that I've done exactly what they needed to make sure that they were okay.
Yeah.
And I feel really, really proud about that. So that's kind of the season I'm in right now with her. With Mariah, I'm in this. Oh, okay, wait. Before I go into Mariah, though, with the senior, I'm also in the season of allowing myself to let go.
Oof. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like, this is like, it's been a journey for me, and because I'm very, very close with my kids. So the season I'm in with Haley is understanding that my real job now is to cut and release, because I've done the work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I am with Haley. And that's been a journey. And then with Mariah, my journey is different with her. She's a little bit younger, and she's at that, 15, gonna be 16 soon age. And that's a tough age. Mine is, I have to be right now with her is I'm trying to be very, very much more intentional with Mariah. Like, I have to do my part to make sure that I have some concrete tools that I've showed her at this age now that she's starting to get a little bit older now, where she's starting to see, okay, so I am getting to be an adult right now. She's not quite there yet, but she's starting to see it, a little bit. So it's like, okay, well, so now I have to show you what are some tools of being an adult, which is like responsibility while I'm not home. Or like trusting you to be free and not supervised and making the right choices. Calling me when you've made the wrong choice. Knowing that you're not going, like, I'd be more mad at you if you didn't call me rather than I will come get you. Right. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at with her. And the other day I said, we have to really start talking about, like, who are you looking up to? What are they saying? What are the quotes that they're putting out? Who are the mentors for you in your life that you're like, I want to be like them when I get older? Who are, like, so establishing these people for you and then putting it in my house so that your environment is where you see this frequently. So that's like something that I've been really wanting to do with them for so long. Since they've been little, I put a chalkboard thing in between their two rooms. And I when they were young, I would put a Bible verse that I felt like would help them because I knew them so very well. Without me having to say anything, I would just put the verse up, and then they could see it. Yeah. So that they could memorize it without realizing that they even needed it.
Yeah.
And it was really, really great. So when they were little, that was the point of the chalkboard. And then my daughter ended up turning it into a mural. So it was like her first mural was this chalkboard up in my house. And I still have it up. So now that she's in 10th grade, now I want it to be like, okay, so let's put up faces of people that you want to be like, or that you're mentoring you. And then what are they saying? What are some of the quotes and things? So that's kind of where I've been with, like, really being intentional about that kind of stuff. And last night we did a thing about time management, just her understanding like how important time management is. And that is an adult skill that you need to know,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really pivotal in that year of high school. Like, it's just, you're starting to, that freshman is such an adjustment, but then sophomore is like the expectations are there now. Like, you've done it, like, here you are, figure it out. Right. It's like such a different, I remember going through that phase myself, and my kids are just a little younger because we're going into junior high. My oldest junior high this year, which I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's the same junior high school I went to. So I'm like, oh my God, this is like such full circle moment.
In a season of gratitude now, because it's like I gave them a different life than I had, and I get to see what kids actually grow up like when you have a really healthy childhood, and when you have healthy parents. And like, so to me, it's like, I feel so grateful that I've been able to give them a healthy life, a healthy childhood,
And what would you say is the key to balancing all of it?
The key to balancing it all, I think, is understanding like discipline, I think is huge. So like I can choose to do nothing, or I can choose to be very intentional. So like disciplining myself to know that I have to be intentional in certain areas, especially when it comes to time frame. So like, for instance, like with my kids, I know I'm running out of time with my daughter being home because she's the oldest. She's gone most of the time. So I think understanding the discipline of the time frame that I have with her. So like even if I don't feel like it, like say I'm fried because I've been on 6 podcasts and I've gone to 3 different states in 1 month. It's like, well, my kid's only here for a little bit of time. So do I choose to be intentional and give her a choice, or do I just, choose not to? So I think that helps with balance because if I start feeling like, man, I haven't had a lot of time with her, knowing that she doesn't have a lot of time left, that will get me all off balance. So I think it's like prioritizing. I think it's discipline. I think it's understanding time and how to manage your time. And then I would say like giving yourself some grace, because grace is a huge thing for me. Like self-care and true intuition about like, what do you need? So like, I can't give you anything. I can't do well on a podcast. I can't stand up and do a keynote if I'm all off balance. So like, it's really prioritizing like, what do I need right now in my day to make sure that I show up the best for everybody? And so sometimes that looks like, okay, so we just got off of a really long, like we just went to Maryland, went to a wedding. I got home, had to do like a podcast. I was on a podcast right before I left. So what did I need to do when I got home on Sunday? I needed to sleep in, girl. That's what I needed to do.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
it's really just saying, okay, I wake up in gratitude for everything immediately. Like that's how I start my day. I wake up in gratitude immediately. As soon as I open my eyes, I thank God for boom, boom, and boom. And then from there, I say, what do I need today? What do I need to start with? And so for me, I have intentional things that I do throughout my day. So like after I wake up and I go right into gratitude immediately, I go downstairs, I get some coffee. It's very simple for me. I'm a very simple person. And then I go outside with my husband, and me and my husband have morning time that we do purposely in place to start our morning in prayer and a Devo. And that's how we start. That's how we start it. Now, are we perfect? No, but that's how we start intentionally. I start that with my husband every day. So it creates a balance immediately for me, immediately. Now, can we like get off balance throughout the day? Yeah, everybody can, right? But like to me, it's like I know that one, discipline is in my mind. Like, so I said I want to do this every day, so I got to do it, like exercise, right? And then I know that I have to be like downstairs with my husband. That starts my day, So it's like how do you start your day? So it's all, I think it's a mix of discipline, time management, and priorities.
Love it. Yeah. I think a one that so I just had somebody right before you. I have a couple more this afternoon to check in with, and I've had a handful prior to it. I think I'm seeing a very consistent thing around gratitude is one I'm seeing consistently. Flexibility, self-accountability, gratitude for self, trust, all of that. Like it's all sort of aligned. So I'm going to have to like really listen and see like what the nitty-gritty consistencies are here. But I think I'm starting to find that similarity there amongst
Yeah, I would say grace would be a thing, which is the same as flexibility, because discipline is really good, priorities is really great, but if you really just need to stop, pause, and take a nap, like do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Starting there first. I really think that that's so important. Like really starting right there.
yeah.
And
Funny, I was like the most simple thing. I'm like, honestly, running to the store right now to grab napkins and plates for like birthday napkins and plates. I'm like, I just need you to do that on your way home. Like, can you just, he's like, yeah. And then he came home and I like peeked in the bag because he was holding it and I could see the bag. And I saw the napkins and plates and they were perfect. And then I saw on top of it, because my son was turning 12, he had a 1 and a 2 candles. And I totally forgot to get them. And I reminded myself earlier, like, oh, you got to tell him to get that. And I never did.
then you forgot. Yeah, yeah.
I forgot, but he got them. And I was like, oh my God. And I like literally was in tears. I was just like, thank you so much. I didn't even tell you to get it. He goes, yeah, like I saw them and I thought, oh, I'll get these two just in case. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I was able to stop to share just a little bit and he was able to go extra. Right. And it's like when you're able to do that and you're able to like, you almost balance each other out when you're able to
Mhm.
ground yourself in that moment of like, this is what I need. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Because instead, I would have tried to fit it in. I would have been
Right.
resentful and angry and pissed off and right, like just
And you would
frustrated.
have been off balance because you would have felt rushed and now you got
Right.
anxiety and all this
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it ended up all working out because it always does. And it's just such a beautiful reminder of like giving yourself and your partner grace and like all of that. So
Oh, another, but you brought up another really good one though. Another really good one is delegation.
yeah.
That's such a good one. And I've gotten so much better with that and it's helped me so much. So
Yeah.
that's another really good one. I'm glad that you brought that up because as I gotten older, I realized like when my kids were little, I just did everything. Like it was a control thing, I feel like. It was like I had to feel like I had to do it in order for it to be done the right way. So I did everything. I did all of the cooking, I did all the cleaning, I did all the planning, I did all the executing, I did all the driving, I did everything. And then I looked at my husband one day and I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I need you to do things. And he's like, well, you just tell me what you want me to do because you like things done a certain way. I said, you are absolutely correct. But this is what I need you to do. So I love that you brought that up because that's huge. Now I delegate like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't do all the cleaning in the house. I don't do all the shopping anymore. I don't. I'm like, I need you to go do this. I need you to go do this. And I need this done by today. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. And it's releasing that guilt, right? Like you were talking about, you said it, you said allowing myself to let go. I think that's a big key here because
Mhm.
that's a consistent theme too. I'm going to highlight that one. Because I think
It's tough, man.
that's a key thing because a lot of the women I've talked to are either business owners or CEOs, obviously, that's who I'm targeting. And it's like, they've consistently said, I've had to let go of this being a priority. I've had to let go of this and replace it with this because this thing is what I need, And so that's, I think, key, like learning, nope, I need to let this go and being okay with it, like giving yourself
Mhm.
grace to like flow through and let it go. It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have time for one more?
Yes,
Because I have
100%.
another one. Now that you just said that, I was just thinking about the book I just read. And man, I talk about this in my challenge a little bit. It's called The Zone of Genius.
Ooh, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah. So like, okay, so the way that it works is that we're supposed to be in the zone of creativity the most.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that zone, so creativity, the more I research and the more I do, the creativity part of this is like the biggest piece of this. Like the people who are on the top, I'm talking the top. These
Yep.
people are in the zone of creativity the most.
All the time. Yeah.
So if we're busy doing things like scrubbing the floor, we're not in our zone of creativity right there. So now we delegate that to be done so that we're not there. Now that's just a small example of what I mean of like how we can do that in all ways.
Yep.
So that we have more time to work on the creativity piece of where we should be in our mastery. So like that has been, as far as leadership and as far as everything has gone, like the more I can get to that zone, So I have to understand like the levels, and then I have to understand to get rid of the levels so that I can be in this space more.
Yeah.
So that's like been the most powerful, significant change in all areas of my life, is to be in the creative zone the most.
That's so good. And that's so real. And the people that are in this space, right? The people that are in the coaching, the manifesting, the creativity, the energetic, like spiritual space, like they get it. And a lot of people aren't there. Like they haven't evolved to that space. And it's hard to share that. It's funny because I have this conversation with my one mentor who I'm like, I think when I share what I do, it's so much easier. And I think that's the part where it's like it's bigger than social work, right? What I'm doing is bigger than social work. It's not just what I've
Mhm.
always done for the past, almost decade. And so, or almost 2 decades, I guess I should say. But it's I can say, oh, it's easy to say, oh, I'm a social worker, I'm a therapist, right? It's easy to say that because like it's tangible, like people know what that is. But to
Mhm.
say what I do outside of that, right? It's like, huh? What? What do you
Yeah.
do? But then when people get it, when they click, they're like, oh yeah, okay, I want to be a part of that. Like for you, you're like, you didn't call yourself a coach or a influencer. You were like, I want to impact in a positive way. I want to impact 1 billion people to help them find their purpose and their healing. Like some people are like, huh? But I
Yeah.
get, I know exactly what you're doing. I align with that. And so it's hard. It's hard to stay in that highest self when so many
Mhm.
people are still in their ego self. And that's like
Mhm.
that tug of war. So beautiful, the
I
creative.
don't remember where he heard this from. I don't remember where he heard it from, but my husband came to me one time, and this was a really cool. It made me, dude. It blew my mind. So like to me, it's like I love learning. I love like learning more about what I believe and things like that. Right. I don't consider myself a Bible thumper in any ways. I actually can't stand when people are like that. But I just like I love learning how my stuff connects to what I'm doing and like what biblically what it says. And so he told me, he said, we are most like God when we're creating. And I was like, why is that? And he's like, I heard somebody say this and it got me really thinking. And when you look at Genesis, the first words is he created.
Mhm.
So when we are most like him when we're creating.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Makes so much sense.
it was like it my mind, blew my mind. And then I thought I started like I really started dissecting that. And I'm like, okay, what am I lacking? What do I need to, how do I need to be in this zone more? And then I was like, man, I just need to spend hours of creating more. That's it. Just hours of creating it. That's it.
Love it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was that was so transformational for me. And so I just been lacking in on just being more of a creator. Like just that's what I am. I'm a creator.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's funny because when I mistakenly found my brand, right? I was like, all of a sudden I was just like, well, I'm like alchemizing, right? And my mentor's like, wait, what? And I'm like, wait, that's it. Like alchemy, like we're creating something from whatever we had. And so I think it's like a really cool blend that that I'm doing in this like psychological thing from my therapy side, right? But there's this whole other piece of spiritual and energetics and all of that that's over here, and it's like bringing that all together. And like you just said, you're not in this like let me save you with the Bible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like that, but there's so much within that that ties into how we can think and how we can pull ourselves out of that. Again, that ego side of like, it's got to be this way. It's bigger than us, so much bigger.
So much bigger than us. Yeah. My gosh. It
Yeah,
is.
I love it. I love it. So we're most like him when we're creating. That's pretty powerful too.
It literally changed my whole year. When I heard that, I said, man, you know what? That's exactly where that was exactly what I needed to hear at that time, actually.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like travel, that's why I love travel so much, girl. Because like when you travel, you get your whole soul like ripped in half and it puts you into this creative zone. And so I posted something about that mural that my daughter just did.
So beautiful.
That was right after we just did that huge trip. So she just got her whole soul ripped and just put her into this zone of creative. And that's the zone where we get the most powerful stuff. That's where, like, that's it. And so that's why I highly encourage people to travel when they're able to travel and do it and just do it, because in those moments when you're just your whole soul is just ripped and transformed, it puts you into that creative zone so magically. And
Yeah.
that's where your best work comes out of.
Well, 100%. Yeah, I always say when I travel, I expand. And so
Yeah.
it's like I expand in other cultures, I expand in who I think I am versus who I'm becoming. Like it's just you like expand. And so you're able to then come back home with this new expansion to receive more, which is cool. Like it is. So I'm grateful for you being a
Yeah.
part of that and being one of these high level women we're connecting together. But
I love it too.
this is just fun.
Yes, I love this. My husband did something similar to this.
Yeah. That would be a cool version too, to see like men's take on this too.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. I don't know that I would but like how is it for guys? Like, because you know what? I mean, I could talk to you all day, but like it is hard for men too. You know, I have like
Oh
it's
yeah.
because there's something about being a man and being a fixer, right? Like, and then when they can't fix everything, and I see so many men in therapy that it's just like, and I find it like I let them get it out, and then I'm like, we got to stop trying to fix it. You can't fix this. This isn't yours to fix, you know? And it's like, that's the hard part is like, they just want to fix it and move on, like neutralize the situation and move on. Right? It's like,
Solution based. Boom.
yeah. And it's like, sometimes they can't, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes they have to just let things ride and be okay with it. But that's different for men too, but interesting. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
all right, my
Well,
dear,
this is
thank
fun.
you. This was great. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your insight, and we'll text, we'll chat.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Thank
Have a
you so
good
much
day.
for thank you so much for all this and just having this conversation. I love this. So thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, girl. Bye-bye.
This episode was created and edited by yours truly, Erin Pitt. Thank you for being here. And of course, if you feel moved to do so, please share. If you are interested in being a part of my podcast, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you're just looking to tap into my world a little bit more, you can follow me over on all things social as Erin Pitnarrow. Until next time, I believe in you. Now go light the world on fire.